like with all my other lists, I try to take away any personal preference out of it as much as possible and just strictly go to raw performance. And I broke them down into two categories, offense and defense. So there are two separate rankings, but depending on your need. But yeah, let me know how do you feel about this. Leave a comment. So yeah, let's get into it. Offense number one is Ruination and God Neptune. I don't think I need to say too much about them. They have the best survivability in the game. They do the most damage in the game. Pretty straightforward, extremely strong combiner. And if you're a new player, if you don't know who to invest into, definitely go with Ruination and God Neptune. Second entry would be Skyrain and Galvatronus. A lot of damage. All of his skills do a lot of damage. They're also not elemental, so they do not care about any build bots. Because they're build bot cores, they can decrease certain elemental damage. This guy just doesn't care. And 4-star skill is amazing. A ton of AoE damage. Gives him 10 seconds of invincibility. After that effect, gives 10 seconds of 80% damage reduction to entire squad. So this is an absolutely amazing war combiner, especially for bottom loaded bases. You can see my other videos that I take this guy over Ruination for bottom loaded, and he's just amazing. Volcanicus and Predaking, they recently got the reworks and they're pretty good, but I just can't put them above Skynet Galvatronus because first off, in High League Wars, you will always see at least 2, maybe even 3 fireproof build bots, at least in the current meta, which more than cut his damage down by half. And he kind of needs a 5-star to really justify being in this spot. 4-star is way squishier and would be probably ranked a little bit below. But yeah, he's okay, but he's good if you really have so much fireproof. It would be amazing, but we have so much fireproof, and again, he doesn't really give any after that effect to your score at all. So that's also a bit of a downside. Yes, he does give this Megatronus effect, but it's only in a melee range, and only your melee bots will benefit from it. So yeah, it's not much after that effect. Raiden and Dino King, they're designed for defense, and they're designed to be around Magnum Boss and type Tripredacus in level of power for offense. But the reason why I put them above is because their skills, the cooldown is much lower, especially for the survival skill that applies acid. Basically, the rare skill gives you 50-60% damage reduction, something like this, for 15 seconds. Applies acid, applies slowdown. Overall, an amazing skill, and you can use relatively often. Other skills are also solid, so yeah, it's a really solid offensive combiner. Magnum Boss and Tripredacus, they just don't have survivability anymore. If they would just decrease cooldown of their abilities, they would go way up. But the cooldowns are pretty much what's stopping this combiner. It only has 5 seconds of invincibility, and recasting that skill again, it's just not going to happen in High League Wars. So yeah, it's not reliable. He's a glass cannon. He can do a lot of damage, but he can't really survive long enough. So something just to consider. Omega Supreme and Overlord. 5-star skill is amazing. A ton of AoE damage. 4-star skill, amazing after that effect for your entire squad. It gives 50% reflection and 50% movement speed. And basically the 4-star skill also turns him into a turret for about 10 or so seconds. So no, he's pretty solid, and again, he doesn't care about elements, so that's also another thing, but first 2 skills are completely garbage. His first 2 skills are terrible, so yeah, he can't do more damage than anyone above here, and his survivability is a little bit better than Magnum Boss and Tripredacus, but not much better. That's why he's currently below. So Optimus, Maximus, and Bruticus. First skill is terrible. It doesn't do anything of any importance, and 4-star skill is also pretty bad. It doesn't do much damage. It's also damage over time. It just sucks. Okay. The medium skill, basically the skill that gives you a lot of damage reduction and basically makes your combiner go and on a rampage and just slam the fizz down. It's a fun skill, very satisfying to use. Makes your combiner survive quite a lot longer, but the damage potential is a bit lower. So yeah, that's where they have this spot. Defensor and Abominus. First 2 skills are pretty unremarkable. They just don't do enough, not much at all. No damage, no nothing. 4-star skill is okay. It can do some damage. It can give him survivability, and of course it has an after that effect. So that's some value for wars. But other than that, not that it's a combiner that's meant for defense, but you know it's just solid on defense. On offense, he has use again for the after that effect, but other than that, not that great. Compute and Leo Kaiser. First two skills are really again unremarkable in terms of offense. For the 4-star skill Hack Zone is okay, but the problem is in high leagues like Prime, you know, maybe in Cyber, but definitely Prime, he's just not going to do enough damage. He can hack, but hack ends up being basically damage over time, and a lot of things can heal through that damage over time, so just something to consider. And again, he's pretty squishy. Yes, he has this invisibility for a couple of seconds, but it's just not not that great. Superior and Devastator, glass cannons, no survivability at all, just some damage, and definitely very dated combiners in a pretty desperate need of rework. They need some sort of survivability, especially on the rush skill. Other skills, you know, they do decent damage, but not really for a 2025 meta, so a bit just power crept. Victorian and Venusaur, first skill sucks, a second skill gives you some reflection, but you don't really do much at all. You just stand there and prolong your death. Last skill is terrible, the 4-star skill is pretty terrible. Why? Because once you activate it, you still have to wait a couple of seconds for it to actually activate. So if you're trying to get it to, you know, kill your combiner, because if your combiner dies from casting 4-star skill, entire enemy base will be disabled. The problem is your combiner is most likely gonna die before you even get to 4-star skills. So yeah, another one for a desperate need of rework. Okay, now let's go over to defense. Raiden and Dino King are currently the best. The reason why is they're actually bugged. Their 4-star skill is meant to only decrease water damage by 60% for 30 seconds since from the combiner's deployment. But the bug is that he decreases all damage, absolutely all damage, by 60% for 30 seconds. So a bit stupid, overpowered. Skyrim and Galvatronus, they come in second right now. They'll probably be first once Raiden and Dino can get fixed, if they get fixed. But yeah, they come second now. A lot of AoE damage. The skill that you will take is the 4-star skill. A lot of AoE damage, you know, after that effect, you know, invincibility for 10 seconds. Really amazing skill. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Competition on Leo Kaiser. 4-star skill is your skill of choice, the Hex Zone. The problem is any skilled attacker will just not care about it. You can just ignore it. You can use a decoy to pop him and, you know, let him hack a decoy, or use a sacrifice bot, or deploy your own combiner to avoid the skill. You know, there are ways you can just completely nullify the skill. So really valuable against attackers who are not really skilled. But if attacker knows what he's doing, nope, don't. But he does have passive invisibility every couple of seconds, so that's something, but just buys you some time. Other than that, not unexceptional. Omega Supreme and Overlord, 4-star skill and 5-star skill. They are both options for defense. 4-star skill basically turns you into a turret, gives you damage reduction, and, you know, shoots out damage, right? Turns you into a turret, and also gives you after that effect to entire base. You know, again, a 50% reflection and 50% of movement speed. So that's okay. And 5-star skill just does a lot of AoE damage. But if you notice, for example, these spots, those skills are like this combiner's one skill. So yeah. That's pretty much it. Defensor and Abominus, again, 4-star skill will be your defense skill of choice. Pretty much buys him some time, you know, gives him, I believe, like 90% reflection for a couple of seconds, and also gives an after that effect of 50% damage reduction to entire base for, I believe, around 10 seconds or so. Which is also solid, you know, the after that effect is very early shines, but, you know, that's about it. Ruination and God Neptune, the skill that is designed for defense is the 5-star skill that spawns decoys, but he's just use him for offense, you know. Don't put him in the weekend. He's much better in offense, so, you know, forget him. Volcanicus and Predaking. Now I think that you'll probably go with 5-star skill as a defense choice. It gives him basically some buffs for around 8 seconds, and you know, the after that effect is Megatronus. And Megatronus effect is pretty solid on defense, but still not that great, because it's the most effective against melee bots. So yeah, 4-star skill can also work to an extent, but he's just not meant for defense. So yeah, don't. Optimus Maximus and Bruticus. The skill that you use for defense is the second skill, the 3-star skill. Basically, it gives you damage reduction and pretty much lets your combiner go into the rampage. So it buys you some time and does some damage, but that's about it. Magnum and Tripredacus, not meant for defense at all. The skill that you will go with would be the 4-star skill that does the tornado. But again, it just doesn't do much, so yeah, just some damage over time, nothing spectacular. Victoria and Manasaur, again, 4-star skill is the defense skill of choice, but it just doesn't do much. It stuns a little bit, but again, easily dodged. Definitely very inferior competition Liocazer, so yeah, a very squishy combiner, loses health upon casting the defense skill, so yeah, no. Superior and Devastator, they are just very squishy. Again, you can use the Dete, the 4-star skill for defense, but you can just, you don't even need to dodge it. You can just rush with a tank, and tank can, you know, take the whole thing and leave it without a single scratch. So yeah, other than that, you know, this combiner just does kind of nothing. So yeah, very squishy, and that's pretty much it for the entire list. I hope you found it helpful, especially if you are unaware of how good each combiner is. So yeah, I hope this is helpful. Feel free to check out all my other videos. I will also leave all links to all of my spreadsheets down in the description. And of course, if you leave a like, I would really appreciate it. And see you in the next one, and have fun.